You can have a really innovative concept, and if this is not properly communicated or understood by the consumer, it can be even a commercial failure,
And then how would you advise them to effectively communicate that science into their products?
It's important as well to have people with scientific backgrounds and to be able to translate and bridge this information with the other departments and with the final consumer.
You have to consider that in order to implement one of those technologies, you need a lot of time. And we are working on many different topics. Who is making the biggest advancements in terms of technology is the academic research mostly. After they have invested so much time, we can take the lead and then take advantage of those technologies and apply it in a faster way into the industry.
We not only test the efficacy of our actives, but we bring new knowledge. We identify new molecules of the skin. So we link back, with the fundamental research.
Welcome to Provitalks 2.0, a new season of Provitalks where the complete value chain process of a natural ingredient will be unraveled through Provital's expertise. Get ready for a journey where innovation and authenticity intertwine to inspire you.
Welcome everyone to a new episode of Provitalks 2.0. In the previous episode, Eloi and I talked with part of our Provital's in vitro lab about the deepest side of cosmetic science and how that contributed to the advancements and development of the whole industry of cosmetics. However, we felt we needed to explore more specific topics on the integration of that science into the cosmetics industry, and especially that transfer from research to actual cosmetic ingredients, right?
That's right, Clara. And lucky for us and for our audience, today we have with us two rock stars on this matter. We have Dr. David Manzano, our R&D manager, and Dr. Silvia Benito, our science communication manager. Welcome, guys, to Provitalks. Thank you
very much.
for being
Thank
here.
you very much for inviting us.
How are you feeling?
Great so far, yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay, so let's get started, right?
Let's get started, but first let's talk about you and your pathways until who you are today, right? And what you are doing in Provital.
My background is academic research, basically. I have been investigating about biotechnology and molecular tools to improving the production of secondary metabolites in plants mostly. And I have been working in different research centers in Spain and also abroad in the United Kingdom. And after being for many years in this academic research, in fact, I always felt that I wanted to explore what was behind the industry. And during those years, I was always wondering how was the idea of transferring these basic research concepts into actual products on the market. So I always had a focus on that. And at some point, I decided to move towards this goal. And I started working in small biotech companies and also in some research technological centers, where I had the chance to work on projects related to cosmetics. And that was a mind-blowing discovery for me, because I realized how advanced was the science and the technology that was applied to cosmetics. And I felt like my background was very useful to contribute to something there. And from that point on, I was lucky to find an advertisement from Provital to work on an R&D department. And I joined Provital 7 years ago, and I have had the chance to work in many different products and projects and product launches. And first off as a project manager, and more recently as a research and innovation manager. And so far, I'm very happy with this change.
Very interesting, for
Yes,
sure.
yes. And did you work before with botanicals, right? Before,
Yes.
but was it in your time in academia?
In academia, and then in the first industrial projects also. I worked in academia mostly on plant secondary metabolism, as I mentioned before. I also worked on epigenetics on plants, on the regulation of flowering time. So if you wonder why the plants flower all of the same species at the same mostly day,
Okay.
This is because it's strictly regulated at the molecular level by epigenetics mechanisms. And also, then I started working on industry and biocatalysis, using plant enzymes to modify compounds for cosmetics. So that was my first involvement in the cosmetic industry.
So you've really had like a very scientific background and very, very technical. What led that change into the more business world? Well, you said that you liked that transfer already.
I think this is a very useful training, because what we do in the R&D department is basically to propose new experiments, to digest data, to analyze data, and to propose hypotheses about how an ingredient is working. So I think you have you need this background in order to do this work efficiently. So that's the perfect background, let's say. But then what I felt was that behind this, there is a whole world, many more things than just experiments. And you have to consider regulatory issues that you are not aware before you enter into this industry. You also have to deal with sales, marketing departments, production, scale up of process. So for me, it has opened a really big new ideas and concepts. And I think this is the perfect complement for my career, because that was something I was looking for. So now I understand much more how complex it is to put something into the market. Because you might have a good idea, but if you don't meet those other requirements, this is not a useful idea for the market. And I think I have grown a lot.
They say that good ideas without execution are nothing.
Yeah, indeed, that's the case.
And inside this market, what would you say are the best contributions you have done so far?
Well, at the beginning, first of all, it's very difficult to talk about oneself. It's very difficult to say what you have contributed, but I can try to make some sort of summary. At the beginning, I was very focused on translating what I have learned in the academy into the industry. For example, bringing the concept of omics and bioinformatics to the lab, to the department, that was a good contribution. And that was brilliantly executed by our in vitro lab, So
we know a little bit about this.
Yeah, so at the beginning we were discussing, and I was involved in those initial discussions about how to implement this into and they were very successfully applying these ideas into the lab, for example. Also, I would say being aware also at the beginning of the academic research took us to the concept of senolysis. And I think that was something that was very, that arrived on time for the industry, that now everyone is talking about senolysis. But when we started working on that project, that was important at the academic level, but not so much in the cosmetics. So I think that was a good
transfer,
exactly. From a basic research idea into a product.
That's something we also discussed with Miguel, remember, when we were mentioning something like recently launched for us, and he was like, I was working in this like 6 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a big gap of time between the research in academia and when you can find the final product in the market.
Exactly. That's why you always have to be analyzing the scientific trends in order, when they are started to become big in academics, then it's the right time to start moving to the industry. Otherwise, you will arrive very late. So, also on those projects, we at the in vivo level, for example, we were very proud of the artificial intelligence analysis we did on these senolytic products, for example. More recently, also at the in vivo level, the lipidomics analysis for Shiloxome. I think it's been a good contribution so far. And finally, I would say to be involved in the plant, not just plant, in biotechnology in general, in projects related to plant stem cells, but also more recently, as you are very well aware, we have launched this concept of the triprobiome, of the new platform to explore the plant endophytes to produce novel active ingredients. I think this is something quite disruptive for the market, so we are also very proud about that.
Totally. Then how would you describe, you've been mentioning about this, but how would you describe the importance of that transfer, between academia and the industry?
I think it's essential for us. I mean, you have to consider that in order to implement one of those technologies, you need a lot of time. And we are working on many different topics. You cannot be the best on everything. You need to collaborate. Who is making the biggest advancements in terms of technology is the academic research mostly. And their timings are different because they want to generate novel knowledge and they take their time to develop the technology in order to, to generate some concepts, some new concepts. So this collaboration is essential because after they have invested so much time, we can take, the lead and then take advantage of those technologies and apply it in a faster way into the industry. At the same time, we are giving back some resources to the academic research.
It's a win-win.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say. It's a win-win situation. So I think it's essential in all our collaborations with to develop novel technologies. It has been essential to work in this way. Yeah.
And what advice would you give to a company or to a person that wanted to follow your footsteps, right, in terms to integrate those parts?
Yeah, I would say that
study a lot, right?
Yes. Yeah. First of all, yes, you have to build a career, an interesting career on the academic research. That's for sure. As we were mentioning, this is the background, the essential background. And then you have to be very open-minded on the next step, because on the academic research, because the goal is so focused on producing knowledge and the competition is so fierce regarding the publication and so far, you have to change a bit your way of thinking. You have to be more innovative and being able to work faster. But if you fight these barriers and you break down these barriers, you will find a whole universe of things to be done and to be improved and to contribute. And for me, during these years, I have had the chance to go to congresses, to trade fairs, to meet a lot of people, not only from the technical side, but also from sales, from marketing, from other views. I have been in touch with the production as well a bit. So I have traveled, we have published papers. So there's a lot of things you can do once you move, but you have somehow to fight for a while with your resistance to keep doing hard science. You have to
stay focused on the lab and
and only repeat 1,000 times the same experiment. You have to be more open-minded and then try to adapt to the new circumstances, and then you have a reward.
Yes. At the company level, what would you advise? Like, what advice would you give to a company that is trying to insert science and?
Yeah, I would say different things. First of all, if you want to go towards innovation and research, you have to keep in mind that this is a long investment. But it's essential to be patient because it's a long-term thing. So that would be general advice. And then also finding the right partners for development. Yes. Once you have a clear idea of what you want to do, if you don't have this knowledge, finding the right partners is also another strong advisement. Because with some people, if you are aligned, everything goes very fast and easy. Otherwise, not so much. And talking about R&D and investment, you have also to consider what is the people behind this work. And the industry is opening a lot of positions, which requires advanced skills. And in our department, we have many PhDs doing different research activities on the lab. And also, for example, profiles as Silvia, that is with us today, that is our science communication manager, because it's also filling a very important gap, is how you translate what we do in the lab into the general public or customers in this case.
Exactly, communication. Silvia, please explain also a little bit of your background to the audience, and also a little bit how you got involved into the cosmetic industry.
Okay, so well, it's a pleasure to be here. And yeah, in terms of the position that I'm working on at Provital, as the name says itself, science communication involves strongly and inevitably both science and communication. And my background is actually as a bit pure academic and scientific, so that's the work that I was doing before joining Provital. I was working in a laboratory. I started in Spain, but then I moved abroad and I did my PhD in France, and I got specialized in cell biology and molecular biology of the skin. In particular, I investigated processes linked to photoprotection and pigmentation. And indeed, this was a very enriching step in my career, in which I not only investigated inside the lab and doing my own experiments, analyzing my own data, and you know, doing all the pure research, let's say, but I also participated in many different communication activities along all this journey. So doing all those activities is what also made me to be curious about continuing developing my professional career in that line. In fact, regarding science communication, there are two different, let's say, big parts to identify. One is pure science communication, and the other one is science outreach or science dissemination. And along my career path, I was involved in both types of this communication. So the pure scientific one, it's the one that involves more the scientific community, preparing all the different formats, you know, publications, written publications, or oral communications in congresses, or establishing collaborations as well, you know, having these skills to be able to talk in an expert and high scientific level. But on the other hand, there are many activities in which I also took part during my PhD that were more dissemination, pure dissemination or outreach. So really transferring and translating the complex scientific language into a more understandable language for the society, for the public audience. And in that sense, I worked in the communication department of my previous research institute. And I also worked in many other outreach activities in schools, high schools, mentoring programs, and also in more events with the society, like the European Researchers' Night, for example. So I was always linked to all these communication activities along with my research.
Okay.
But I'm curious, was that a personal interest of yours, or was that implied in your position as a predoctoral researcher then?
So I think every scientist has the duty, let's say, to communicate their science, and I think, any researcher position, part of the work, apart from your research, is to get involved in all these different activities. Then, of course, you can be, depending on your personality and skills, you can enjoy more different parts of all this work. Mm-hmm. So there can be scientists that are more, on the analytical part, or on the lab itself. They enjoy more that, and maybe they do, less communication than others, as me, that I truly enjoyed this part.
That's the difference between just publish a paper or publish the paper and go to the talks and present it to the different audiences, right?
Exactly. So I also have to say it's not always easy to have also these chances to attend congresses. It also depends on the institute or the fellowship you have or the opportunities. Since I was abroad and it was a very strong scientific institute, I had many chances to attend seminars, courses, congresses, to participate in these activities. And also it depends on your proactivity. And I was always really proactive to take part in all this because I truly enjoyed it. Yeah. So it's a mix of passion and duty, but in my case, I truly enjoyed communication.
An opportunity, right?
Yeah, also, of course. Okay. Yeah.
And I see that you were already involved into communication, but how was the moment that you decide, I want to transfer from communication in the academia to the communication in the cosmetics industry?
I think I the PhD is a period of time that you are doing your own research, and then finally it ends with your defense when you you get your title of doctor, and you finish your work, you publish it. And then you have to decide as well if you want to continue doing research in another laboratory, continuing your academic career, or also explore other careers in which your scientific background can bring value. And for me, during this last part of my PhD that I truly enjoyed, and I would always do it again if I could go back, because it was super enriching and I loved it. I love science. But it was a turning point for me to think on what I wanted to do next, how I could bring value to a position, with my scientific background, but also with this passion that I'm telling you about communication. So I wanted kind of, to not escape, but get out of the lab, and to put all my efforts and to develop my career more in communication itself. But at the same time, I wanted to be very close to innovation and to science. I didn't want to leave behind that because it's my other passion, So I wanted to keep as close I could to science, to technology, to innovation, but also to be able to develop my career in this more science communication part. And when I was thinking of all this, and I was looking, for my next step, this opening of Provital appeared, and honestly, it was like fitting perfectly with my motivation and my professional aim, and goal in life. So it was really a perfect match with my motivation, and also I felt that I could bring a lot of value with my cell biology expertise in the human skin, and also all the communication activities and expertise that I had developed during my years in science.
It makes a lot of sense, a profile like yours, and you are in love with communication, so it's perfect. It's match. Actually, it's quite a new position in the whole industry. I mean, you don't see many scientific communication managers in cosmetics industry. And I have to say that this is like a dream of Ricard, because he mentioned me this job position like, I don't know, 5 or 4 years ago. And I think that this will be super interesting. And I was like, I think this doesn't exist. So how are you going to find this person, And well, finally, I think.
And I feel super thankful. And I think as a dream for you, so it was for me, And I was also not sure that I could find something that could fit all this, perfectly.
So
it was also casualty life, Sometimes it happens, opportunities and.
Yeah, but I think we will see more and more of these positions in the coming years in our industry, and also in other big companies and sectors. It's already working these kind of positions on pharma and other sectors. So I think it's very important to be able to communicate what you are doing always, no? Not, as you were saying, not only for another scientist, but in general in life, to be able to communicate what you want to share what you are doing is very important. So I think we will see more and more of these positions.
I agree.
Definitely. And like we asked a bit, I know your position is not too old right now, but what would you say were the greatest contributions so far to?
Okay, so indeed. And I would say that even for being short time in Provital, this first year, I also contributed, to some extent to transfer some, scientific knowledge that it's complex to translate to these departments, other departments, sales, marketing, and in many clients' meetings as well. And I think from that point of view, I would say that it was a small grain, that I could help and contribute with. Yeah.
I can add to this that the sales team loves you, and it's super useful when you can explain them about the new launches, even though we have PhDs from scientific background in our sales team. When you can translate the pure science into a more common language for mortals like us.
Thank you.
It's super useful, and with customers as well, of course.
Yes, exactly. I think it's a good point, because even you have a short time in the position, We have already received very good comments from sales, and I think the work she did with the triplobiome and the transfer of this knowledge was brilliant. And also with the clients, we also received, and also we have a big challenge this year on the IFCC, where we have a podium talk, and will be Silvia managing this talk.
No pressure.
So
Good luck.
Yeah. No, and I was going to say that you entered right when Provital was doing a shift in terms of technology, because the triplobiome technology was launched, and it was something that we needed to communicate very much, and it came along at the right moment, right?
For me, yeah, it's been great. I mean, because I think it's always great to join in a moment like this. I also realize of all the work and years of work that were behind. I feel lucky to have joined in such moment. It's been a challenge, but also I feel super thankful because I felt that everything worked really well. That everyone hosted really well the position. From marketing side, the sales, of course, in R&D, and this is something that I'm truly loving from the industry, to be able to indeed make these bridges between the different departments and to work in such collaborative way and really teamwork. So
and it was a challenging one, because this project, you have a platform, you have a novel concept, you have a very advanced efficacy study, you have the lipidomics. I mean, there were so many things involved in the technical part of this project, that I think was the right moment, to start with this position. So.
Totally. It's very strategic to have a position like that in a company that wants to position themselves as innovative and is innovative and wants to communicate
Exactly.
it. Totally.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, you have super nice backgrounds, very interesting. But now we would like to move to what is the cosmetic industry. And it's perfect because for us, you are working in the future, because you are advanced in so many years. So we would like to know, regarding cosmetic industry, what are these new technologies, or what do you think that the future is going to?
Okay, so we have a few ideas. For example, I think that the consumers are more and more aware of what are the cosmetic ingredients, and they want to know what are those ingredients and their mechanism of action, for example. And I think the omics, what we have transferred from academic into cosmetic, the development of omic science, it's making us more, let's say, efficient in terms of knowing what is the mechanism of action of an active. We can know much more what is doing the active on the skin. We have seen this in the past with scalp up, with transcriptomics, for example, and also we are doing now a combination of transcriptomics and proteomics, and we have, let's say, identify a novel mechanism of action from anticellulite treatment, which is going to be very novel and very, very interesting for the industry. And this is thank you to the omics.
Do we have a spoiler here?
We do have a spoiler, and if you join some spoilers from the other episode to this episode, you're going to have the answer.
We have some spoiler, but it is thanks to this technology advancement. And also what I was saying is in terms of the in vivo experiments with the lipidomics, for example, that we also have been able to understand much more what is doing the active on the skin.
Yeah, exactly. I think I was going to say the lipidomics, that I believe that we not only test the efficacy of our actives, but many times, indeed, as it happened with this new active, we bring new knowledge. We identify new molecules of the skin. So we link back, with the fundamental research.
Yes, we have been able to identify more lipids that were not described in the literature. We have seen how the active is increasing the length of the chain of the lipids, which is something linked to the barrier function, and it's a novel concept that was not on the market, for example. Another trends we've been discussing is, of course, the emergence of artificial intelligence tools. That we have already mentioned, that we already did some things regarding this, and this was a study made for the estimation of the age of the volunteers based on a tool that was an artificial intelligence tool trained to estimate the age of the people. And with this tool, we were able to identify how the active was rejuvenating the face of the volume test, and this was very cool.
In a way broader manner than it used to be, right? Before, with just analyzing one parameter. This machine, as I understand it, analyzed everything that the eye can catch.
Yes, it was trained to analyze specific features that are linked to the perception of age. So by analyzing the pictures of the volunteers, placebo versus active, we could see how this trained system was able to identify reduction on the estimated of the volunteers. So I think it was very interesting. But also artificial intelligence could be applied in many more ways, not only this, but also for diagnostic tools, for example, for the skin, for personalization. This is something, or for another kind of efficacy test, which can be maybe linked to sentiment analysis based on subconscious level or voice analysis. There's so much going on that is very interesting. And another trend that I think, and also probably you will agree from marketing point of view, is the trend of biotechnological products, which is like, let's say, somehow the next generation of natural products, we can say. And this is something that we are working very actively because we think it's also a very important trend. And this is technology-based mostly. So.
Definitely.
Yeah. And then also maybe the personalization of the products. Here science can help a lot.
Yes.
Fundamental science, since, for example, the ultrastructure of the melanin organelle in the different phototypes of the skin has been described how it's different. So indeed, making products and taking into account all these different phototypes for the testing of the actives, it's important, as well as for the different types of hair.
I'm guessing we could do a whole Provitalk with you about that after 7 years of research on that, right?
Something can say, for sure.
Yeah, but this is very interesting because we are talking about how scientific knowledge can make products more customized to different groups.
I think this is the future.
Yeah, so I think we all agree it's a trend, and by knowing much more what's going on in the different types of skin, we can adapt more our products to different needs.
Definitely,
so we are working towards this as well.
Yeah. So, getting back, we have very scientifically trained people in the lab that analyze the market in terms of science and scientific trends, and you translate that into products. How does that happen? How can cosmetic companies integrate the latest technologies into products?
I think in order to do this, you have to have in your team this innovative mindset. So, because if you want to solve a specific thing at one specific moment, you won't probably find the answer. I mean, otherwise, if you are always trying to be innovative, you will for sure find something that is, useful at some point. And once you have this innovative mindset, I believe we have in not only an R&D department, but in general in the company. Once you have this, you have the first thing you need. The second thing I would say is communication, in order to be aligned between departments inside the department, to know, because there are so many things that you can do, but which ones are the important ones or the strategic ones? And for this, I think you also need to be able to filter, because we are under so much information constantly that sometimes the difficult thing is not how to find the right thing, but how to filter the right thing from the noise that you have from so many things going on. And I think this combination, innovative mindset, with this capacity of filtering and having a strategic, point of view to choose the right things to do.
And how would you say you filter that out? Because I remember that Miguel also said that to use that criteria to filter out among the world of opportunities that science can bring.
Yeah.
Right? How do you filter that?
But I think we always commented this, that keeping with the latest trends in science, right? So having always keeping an eye on on these latest advancements in fundamental research, for example, of skin physiology, but also general cellular and molecular biology and biotechnology. Thanks to journals, to scientific journals, keep an eye and read about all these different advancements, go to congresses, attending congresses, communicating our research, but also grasping, insights from other, from different other companies or other labs. And I think all this helps to filter a bit and to identify, if we put the focus on, for instance, the highest impact factor journals, we get this most advanced knowledge that can be useful for us.
Yes, totally agree. We are always searching for the publications on the most relevant journals, scientific journals, and we try to filter. And somehow, if you are always looking for this, you can see that there is a trend, because there is some publications that are speaking about the same, and there are some technologies or topics that are somehow going up. And then you can identify these, and also, of course, congress meetings, not only for cosmetics, general science as well. And I think, again, communication, if we share it within the department, and for us it's also very useful, the communication with marketing and sales, because we can see many trends, but again, which ones, maybe there is a trend that is very relevant for scientific, but maybe in our sector, for some reason,
it
doesn't
useful.
fit. It doesn't fit,
Yeah.
So I think it's very important. And I would say another source of inspiration is to look what other industries are doing as well.
Totally.
Pharma, of course, is a mirror where you can find useful things or ideas or concepts. But more recently, also nutraceutical industry, food industry, agriculture industry, everything is interconnected now.
Yeah.
And for example, itself, we have mentioned the concept of endophytes. This is something already going on in other sectors and industry. And for example, they are being used already in agriculture as a strains for biostimulation of plant growth or bioprotection, in a sustainable way. So there is an inspiration as well. There is a technological trend. There is science behind this trend. Can we do something about that?
Yeah, and that has been applied in other industries, so definitely
Exactly.
an example.
It's another source of inspiration, I would say.
Yeah, very interesting, this point of view, for sure.
And what would you say, because you talked about marketing and sales and the insights that they bring to you, but which role do consumers play in the acceptance of technologies and innovation in this industry, would you say?
Well, I think they are crucial.
Definitely.
I think it depends very much on how you communicate that. So I think maybe Silvia can have...
No, I totally agree. I think communication here is the challenge, and it's really a big part, because we discussed sometimes that you can have a really innovative concept or a product that has a lot of innovation or new things behind, and if this is not properly communicated or understood by the consumer, it can be even a commercial failure, even if it's super advanced, it's super good in terms of science. So it's really key. And for that, indeed, I mean, having, this type of positions, but not only the position, having a strong team of R&D that, we can all think innovative and creative ways of how to translate this. I think it's really key. And I think it's really, a strong point of Provital to focus in as well on this, because I think it proves that, it has the goal of translating and communicating the science they do to the final consumer. So I think, I really like that part,
Yeah, and especially now that like you said, the consumer knows more and is more innovative themselves, right? The consumer are already interested in those parts and are looking for that. So
definitely.
Yes, they play an essential role, and sometimes it's the consumer who is inspiring us somehow also. Through marketing that comes to R&D. So sometimes they are pushing the industry towards specific
or from
direction.
other industries. Is the consumer who is behaving in a way in food, and then you transfer that to...
Exactly. So there is a combination from our knowledge into the consumers to educate and also from the consumers to the industry in order to, make products that are interesting for them. So I think.
So I have a question. What would you say that is the most important trend here, the scientific trend or the market trend for cosmetics, let's say?
I think it's half-half, I would say.
I've been looking at you.
Not because Clara is here. I truly believe that it's. I think in cosmetics the consumer trends, are very important indeed. So
I completely agree. I think both are a super strong drive, and one could not be without the other. Like I think they, compensate.
I think it's totally, we agree probably that there is a mixture between both things. Otherwise, I mean, if we were alone by science, maybe we don't reach the market. But at the same time, the consumer is more and more scientific minded, let's say, and looking for something more in detail.
Yeah.
So I think.
And they want to be surprised too.
Yeah.
If you bring something new to the market that wasn't there because they didn't ask for it, then that is true innovation, and that comes from the scientific side. So
Exactly.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's always going to happen. I mean,
There's so much to discover yet.
Oh, yes.
Always.
for sure. Of course.
So if you had to summarize the role of cosmetic science, of science in cosmetics, what would you summarize it as?
Well, I would say that science in general has an essential role in society. I mean, in general, in a broad sense. I mean, everything we do.
But in a practical way for companies, what would you say?
In a practical way for companies, you can find very interesting technologies that have already been developed in academic research or by other small companies or whatever, and you have the chance to apply this to develop innovative products where the efficacy is proven, is well proven. So I think this combination of innovation and efficacy proven products, it can win a lot from the basic science, I would say.
New advancements or new knowledge that it's also generated behind the efficacy of the actives that we create. It's also really key and it brings a lot. Like for example, the receptors of the skin.
For example, yes.
It was the bitter receptors, of the skin in one of our actives, and identifying this type of things at the molecular level.
The novel mechanisms of action, for example. So let's say that, in every way, because, for example, knowing exactly how these receptors are working on the skin and what are their roles, it could be a good point to start developing novel products, and they might be linked to other topics such as neurocosmetics or others. So I think everything is related to what is being discovered or developed in terms of technology. I would say.
And you also mentioned the part of collaborating with universities and with institutes that are more specified in one specific topic or advancement or technology, right? How do you do that in a company? How do you leverage that knowledge and put it into...
You have many different options here as well, from very ambitious and long-term projects involving many institutions and big public organizations. That's one possibility. But you can also go for more specific projects which are more focused on your problem. It depends on what you're looking for, really. Sometimes going for specific things which are more practical is more agile, and it gives you better results in a short time. And it depends on what you're looking for is a good choice. And other times you want to develop something more ambitious, and then you might go to these big projects. It depends really on what you are working for. But we have tested all the possibilities, including something that is very interesting, that is the industrial PhD.
Yeah.
That is a good formula also.
Exactly.
We discussed that because we had Julia here with us,
Yeah.
and then we also give the new PhD that we are gonna open really soon.
Okay.
We mentioned something about it.
Okay. So I think it's a very good formula, no, Silvia? The industrial PhD
Yeah.
for implementing knowledge in the company.
Definitely. And indeed, it was Julia, and then that was more on the in vitro part.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but now the next one will be on biotechnology. So we are super excited
Yes, we are
from the
very
R&D
happy.
team.
Yeah, this one with Julia worked perfectly, and so it's a good formula to collaborate with the academia, I think.
So then what are now that you've explained a little bit about everything, what are the main challenges that a cosmetic company can face when integrating those technologies and those advancements? What would you say are even from the communication side or also from the developing side?
From the developing side, I would say that basically one important thing here is time to market, let's say. So if you want to find an application of a technology or a scientific discovery, it depends on how much time do you have. And you have to adapt this, depending on the specific thing you want to develop. Sometimes you have more or less. And then once you have this, finding out, as I was saying before, the right partner, how mature this technology is already developed, and finding the right partner is key as well. But one example, for example, and this is just to put an example that is very graphic and easy. We were talking about omics, no? And transcriptomics has been the big thing. So let's say we've done so a few years back. So the first genome that was sequenced was in, if I'm not wrong, in 2003. And it took 13 years to analyze just one genome. And I think, I don't remember now the bill, but we're talking about millions of dollars to just sequence one genome.
I
And
heard
13
that.
years.
A lot of millions of...
Millions of dollars, I don't know how many labs, and 13 years of research. Now we can do that in just one day, and the cost is maybe $300 for one genome. So the evolution of the technology is amazing. Now it's cost effective and it's something that you can manage. If you have tried this in 2005, probably it would have been impossible. The technology was not
mature enough
to develop. So when is the right point for being at the right moment and arriving in the market the first? I think that's a big challenge.
It's very
and
difficult.
Then finding the right partner, of course.
Yes.
So-
Yes, and choosing the right path, like you were saying
Exactly.
before, right? If you, in Provital, if you hadn't gone to transcriptomics, maybe it would have gotten lost.
Exactly.
Something
Exactly.
different.
In something
That's what
different.
Miguel mentioned, that there's so many options. You can do everything. You have to select some, but you cannot just select one because it's a lot of risk there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's a big challenge. Finding the right time, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. And well, I was thinking about communication challenges. I think, well, the biggest one is really how to translate, right, these complex concepts. But I would say also a really big challenge, and now regarding the omics, is how to put, in a, I don't know, visual, or how to translate really all these big amount of scientific data, for the
Yes,
consumer
because-
to understand
And
it.
especially the speed at which the industry is evolving makes it more difficult, right? To make it understandable, because people are still analyzing it from their past way of looking at things, or for example the mechanisms of action. It's very difficult.
Exactly, and this entails a bigger picture,
Yes.
So it's,
We were discussing this we are discussing this in the lab, and it's a good example. Because with this kind of experiments, you have thousands of.
You're analyzing so much that.
How do you show this in a
really-
visual? We are
really a
discussing
challenge.
about this.
it's a challenge.
It's a lot of data.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's very abstract data because it's thousands of numbers.
Yeah.
But how do you build something that is without losing the complexity?
Exactly.
Because you can just put a graph, very simple, but then no one understands what's the big deal behind this. No?
Looks so easy.
Looks easier.
It could be. It could look too easy. Somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this balance is very difficult.
We're working on it.
It's a challenge, definitely. Yeah.
Another challenge that we've discussed already here with some of our guests, we would like to bring the regulation into the conversation. You, in the beginning, you mentioned something. We would like to know a little bit more on how regulation and, well, also ethics, right?
Yes.
Affects in the R&D for cosmetics.
This is a very good question because this is another challenge topic. So, I mean, we have to meet many regulations and at the same time be innovative. So when you apply too many regulations, then the chances of exploring something new is more difficult.
You have to discard due to different specifics.
Yeah, for example, one example is when you choose the raw material you are going to use in a development. You have to consider many things that are from regulatory point of view. You have to be, for example, if you want to sell worldwide, you want to be in the Chinese list of cosmetic ingredients that narrow the list a lot. And then, as these examples, there are many others that put limitations on the number of things you can do.
Yeah.
And that's an important thing. And to be innovative there, you have to really think and bring in new ideas to, put something new in the market. So it's strongly affecting. And that's the regulatory point of view. But in Provital, we are going beyond that, and we are also applying our internal ethical regulations, like meeting criteria for preserving biodiversity, for fair trade, the Nagoya Protocol.
Sourcing is very important.
Again, consumers are asking for this. Again, society is asking for this kind of sustainability issues.
Yeah.
We are meeting these requirements. It's not strictly regulatory sometimes, but we are meeting this in advance. And this is really a limitation. We are facing a limitation with this kind of things, but that's part of our job, no? To find something, a new story from these limitations.
Yes, and also applies to what you were saying about communicating it, because it not only limitates what you do, but also how you talk about it, right? Because the final client will have so many more regulations on the claims than us that we need to adapt prior to
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah, it's a difficult thing also to communicate in the right way and make sure that people is understanding the effort the company is doing to meet all these requirements. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Since you are doing it, to make sure that people know it.
Sense, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We talked about the final consumer and how the role affected, but how would you say that the final consumer and the trends that they have affect the relationship between science and the cosmetics industry?
Well, I would say maybe, Silvia, we're discussing also this sustainability is a good point, no? Where they are, for example, with biotechnology.
Yeah.
I think it's a good example of...
Yeah, indeed. Well, in fact, biotechnology is not only bringing, as you said at the beginning, new natural products, but it's also really key in terms of the advantages that it brings regarding sustainability. And also the actual production of the ingredients in terms of quality. So regarding this part, the control of the process of the production, it brings many advantages regarding the full traceability of the production, not depending on environmental, seasons or changes of temperature or other factors, that can affect the botanical, the plants, and that would lead into impacting the botanical extract in the end. In this case, everything is controlled within controlled conditions in the lab. So meaning that everything is pH, temperature, everything is
more reproducible,
full traceable.
Higher extraction of actives. So I think the market is demanding for this. Yes.
Exactly, the quality, everything is also improved. And in terms of sustainability, biotechnology here brings many big advantages in terms of reducing valuable resources such as water, lands, but also decreasing the footprint of the whole production, preserving biodiversity, and yeah, indeed.
Yes, I think it's a good example where the consumer is asking for sustainable things and for
and how science is
how
acting on
science
it.
is acting on this. I think it's a good example. Biotechnology is perfect. We have seen it for some of our plant stem cells actives where the consumption of water is reduced compared to the conventional agricultural production. So I think it's a good example how we are meeting here. Science is meeting the consumer.
And we would do the same with the endophytes, right?
Exactly.
With the triplobiome technology,
Exactly.
we can accomplish the same reduction.
Exactly, it's the same idea. Instead of because it's interesting also because let's say technology itself, if it doesn't help to improve things, is nothing. So here, for example, one thing, we love plants, and plants have been the basis for pharma and cosmetic industry for many years, and they will be being so for many years to come. But they have some limitations. For example, sometimes, in some cases, they produce the active in very specific moments of the year, in a very tiny amounts, in specific tissues. For example, in the flower, but not in the whole flower, just in a petal or in a specific moment of development.
And in the second week, and not in the first one.
Exactly. So that means that to produce high amounts of this active,
it's very difficult.
You need to use a lot of plant biomass, generating a lot of waste just to have a tiny amount. In this case, endophytes, since they have this ability to produce plant compounds, because they have co-evolved with the plants to this, and they are able to produce plant compounds. They are a good source and a good alternative because you can cultivate them in a process that is under control, as Silvia was mentioning, increasing the production of these compounds and making, overcoming this limitation of having to use so much plant biomass to obtain a small fraction of active ingredient. Exactly. So I think it's a good explanation with an example.
It's the power of biology and biotechnology, using these live microorganisms as biofactories.
Exactly. Exactly.
And also you're adding up to what the consumer is asking, right? They are asking for sustainability and you give them biotechnology. But with endophytes, you're giving them more, you're giving them a story, you're giving them the symbiotic, millennial intelligence that
innovation
creates.
in terms of storytelling as well. That is something
amazing.
Something that the industry is always looking for. So.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to do a whole Provitalk about that because it's really innovative and it's really cool and it has to be explained, like you said, it has to be explained the way it has to.
Definitely.
And we are working on more projects regarding this and with good results that we will love to explain in a short future.
Okay, yeah. As soon as you have results, otherwise they're starting to say, no, this is a spoiler, no, we cannot talk about this.
We cannot say that. Yeah.
Let's wait a bit.
We've seen that already. Well, now let's say that we are a new cosmetics company and we love Provital and all the actives because they are super innovative and there is a lot of science behind. But what would be your advice on how can we use all this information and integrate it in our products?
Well, I think that's one of the key points of Provital, that it's not only developing advanced scientific ingredients with proven efficacy, but we have a very strong marketing department. Customer care has been one of the strategic pillars of development of the company. And I think what you get with Provital is not only these high-tech ingredients and natural products, but you have 360 degrees, help to incorporate these ingredients into the production, because we are not only developing the ingredient, but the idea, the trend, the market study, the formulas.
The formulas as well.
So I think if you were a client, I would say you have everything in one package. So would go for it.
And then how would you advise them to effectively communicate that science into their products? How?
Yeah, I think in terms of communicating, it's important to keep strong, the internal communication, that, and for that, I think it's important as well to have people with scientific backgrounds, with as we do in our R&D team, and to be able to indeed translate and bridge this information with the other departments and with the final consumer. So I think definitely communication here is key, and it's a challenge, and I would,
I think the collaboration here between marketing and R&D is essential in order to to have because we have our story, but it has to be adapted to the market. So without
being
losing
easy, but without losing the rigor and the scientific.
Before, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Not easy. Sorry.
That's your part then. For marketing, that's your part.
No. For the ones that want to start that, not easy. No.
Well, we are almost finished, but not yet. We have the last part as usual. Our final questions. We have 6 different questions for you, and you have to answer with the first thing that comes into your mind. So, first one. This will be very easy for you. Which is your favorite active of Provital and why?
I would say my favorite active is Shiloxome, because I've been involved from the beginning to the end in that project, and it's been a long work, and I'm very proud of the results in general.
And again, is the one that was created through Endophytes.
Yes,
the first one.
Yes, and I follow from the very inception to the final launch. But I like many others. This one is
the top one. And you, Silvia?
I think I have to copy the answer, but because, as you know, I joined this year, and this was the big launch, and the one it's the first one that I've been communicating as science communication manager in Provital, so it's quite special for me. This active.
No, it's an amazing active, so don't worry.
And second question, what is the last cosmetic product that you purchased for yourselves?
Myself is a moisturizing cream.
Okay, you moisturize every morning and every night, or
every morning?
Okay,
every morning. Yeah.
Good enough.
It's a natural ingredient based to be, aligned, and it's working very well.
Okay,
good.
I think
for me it was sunscreen. For the beach.
Of course.
Yeah. It's season very soon. So makes sense.
It's important to protect ourselves from the sun.
Another one related with cosmetic products. What do you look for when you go to shop for cosmetics?
Well, I would say efficacy. I think sensation. No, when you apply it, that you feel comfortable with it. And I try to have an eye on the sustainability issue. To see that they are doing things in a way I like.
Okay.
Very interesting.
I agree with David, and quality as well. Like I like quality products, and the science behind the efficacy I also like.
And you like to buy online, or you prefer to go to the store first, test the product?
I think I prefer the store.
I also prefer the store.
A traditional way.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not Ginset. Generation.
No. Almost, but no.
Almost, but no.
And okay, then complete the sentence now. The best thing about the cosmetics industry is?
I think it's innovative, as we were talking, and ever-changing mentality. I think it's a very dynamic sector.
Definitely.
That's what I like. It's the best thing.
Yeah, I think from the professional point of view, I agree with David, and I am truly enjoying this first year in this sector and seeing this transfer, of science and technology to the market. And as a consumer point of view, I would say the best thing is self-care and kind of wellness, both mind and body. I think, and even more than the body, I would say even the mind, like the moment that you take care of yourself and relax a bit. And for me,
the skincare routine.
Well, or any moment that you dedicate skincare, but also hair care, you know, I think it's good for both the body and the mind.
Yeah.
Nice. And what would you say is the worst?
I think the worst is still has somehow an image of you know, this is an old-fashioned image that is not so much science and advancement in technology. I think we are going in the right direction. I think this perception is changing more and more.
Yeah,
but I think that would be it was the worst thing about it.
And I think the worst is, we read recently, no, this cosmetorexia in teenagers or even kids that misuse, you know, the cosmetics. I think as anything in life, when it's not well used or when it's used in an excessive way, you know, it can lead to problems. So I would say that's, well, one current issue that, as many other things, have to be regulated and also to educate, you know. That's why it's so important, the communication, because the society and at any age, they have to be educated about, you know, the products and the effects.
Yeah, for sure.
So that they can properly use
Exactly
what they have. Definitely. Okay, and if you had to choose someone to come here and speak to us about anything, who would you give us as a guest to Provital?
I think there are many scientific influencers and also science communication influencers. I think I would love to see one here. I don't know.
Any name
to be
that
invited.
comes to your mind?
There is, I mean, there are many that I don't remember well the name, also because many of them have, you know, like geeky names or... But there's one girl that she's called hyperactina.
Okay.
Actina, the actin is one element of the cytoskeleton of the cells, and she's great at science outreach. She teaches many things about, you know, different things. And also I would say there's one dermatologist that I follow, and she's really, really good. I think, if I'm not mistaken, her name is Dr. Ana Molina. I learn a lot with her. She talks a lot about dermocosmetics and...
Yeah. That would be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Add it to the list.
Yes, long list. Okay, so thank you so much.
Okay,
We've come to the end.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your answers. And yeah, I'm guessing that everything that it's been said today will come as great and insightful information for our audience, who will now know even more about the whole world that there is behind cosmetics development. Right, Eloi?
For sure. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for watching and listening. Don't forget that you have to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can find all our episodes on Spotify and ebooks. See you.
Goodbye.
See you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching and listening to Provitalks. We hope you got some source of inspiration to create your own kind of beauty. If you don't want to miss our next expert interview, subscribe to our channel and don't hesitate to contact us at weareprovital.com. Provital. Do care.